Hi guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to discuss the basic problems of Brexit again, when we find out that more than a quarter of food and hospitality firms have been hit by low stock levels in recent weeks. Britain's mounting supply chain crisis is taking its toll, and the new figures published just yesterday from the Office of National Statistics, not from anywhere else, from the real figures, said its recent business survey found that 27% of food and accommodation firms have reported lower than normal stock levels. There's an understatement, and the worst hit of all sectors, obviously. But low stock levels were also reported by 23% of the manufacturers and 25% of the firms in the wholesale and the retail trade, in the repair of motor vehicles and the repair of the motorcycles industry. Okay? Now, in there lies some dangers that we'll get to. This news came amid a mounting supply chain crisis, which is increasingly leaving supermarket shelves bare, and it's leading to a shortage of materials and higher prices across a raft of sectors, from house building to car production, and it's getting worse every day. It's not getting better. It's getting worse because all of those raw materials that have been built up and stored and all of that sort of stuff, they're gone. McDonald's having to pull milkshakes should have been a sign, I suppose, along with its bottled drinks from its menu earlier this week, because it's battling against supply problems. Because companies like that can't operate unless things are set in stone. They don't go on the, I hope it's going to be all right. That doesn't sit well with that type of organization, okay? But the latest ONS fortnightly business poll figures reveal that firms across the UK have been struggling to get hold of materials, get hold of goods, get hold of services, get hold of people, get hold of a life. But according to the Mail journalist Stephen Glover, Remainers are happy. Remainers are rejoicing. So just in case you're one of those Remainers out there that are not rejoicing at the empty shelves and the shortages across basically every bloody industry, and instead are just plain angry, No, Stephen Glover of the Mail thinks you should be laughing because he thinks you think this is funny. Yeah, can you believe that, numpty? This twat, this idiot, he actually believes that Remainers are celebrating the fact that we are struggling to buy chickens, or perhaps worried whether or not, justifiably so, whether the turkey that we've enjoyed for as long as we can remember every Christmas will A, be available, or B, be affordable. If there was ever a better demonstration of the small-mindedness of mainstream media, I don't think that his sentiment expressed by that numpty encapsulates it better. It just makes you think kind of how badly things have gone under this fiasco of a government. Listen, Stephen Glover, when more than 1 in 7 construction firms say they've not been able to get materials, not been able to get staff over the last 9 weeks, while 9% of hospitality firms also report the same issue, and this was before it really hit, they ain't laughing. Neither are the Remainers or anybody else, because nobody thinks this is funny. You might want to get people to think we think it's funny, but it ain't. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, in this official graphs, the cost of materials for repair and maintenance work rose 2.1% in May-June and increased by 15.6% between June 20 and June 21. 15.6%. That is frightening. Absolutely frightening. Okay? And to you, numpty of a reporter, it was and it is you and people like you who lied. You guys spun the stories. You guys spun the minds of people. You know what? Better than Rumpelstiltskin did it. You're to blame. You are what my father used to call a cur. I would have a whole different set of words that I could use, but I'll keep those to myself. Nearly 1 in 5 manufacturing firms have had to change suppliers or find alternative ways to get materials. That ain't good. 16.5% for construction firms, and 11.4% of food and hospitality companies have had to do exactly the same thing. That ain't good. It found less than half of builders and hospitality firms say they've been able to source all the materials. Whereas the word on the street is none of them in August were able to source them on the street. None of them were able to source the goods. Okay? Just over half of manufacturers, 51.4%, said they were basically able to eventually get hold of materials, but they really had to shop around. And that was between the 26th of July and August the 8th. However, that's changed and it's got a lot worse. But here's the big one. The UK's largest house builders have been reporting increased prices of basic materials such as cement, steel, and other such things during the year. Now, the real problem here, and pay attention, Mr. Bojo, Grafton Group, the owners of builders material supplier Selco, revealed on Wednesday that shortages of core materials due to supply issues had pushed up their prices by 7.5% year on year, the first 6 months. 7.5%. However, Selco's profit went up in the first 6 months, despite all the obstacles. Why did that happen? I'll tell you why it happened. Because Grafton Group, who owns Selco, are an EU company, and they can ship all the goods they want from their operations in Northern Ireland directly to their stores in the UK. That's right. You see, the shortages we're all witnessing, that doesn't affect the EU companies. It only affects the UK-based companies. Now, how long do you think it's going to take the industry to switch their supply chains to the EU-based providers? How long do you think it is? You think you're going to be able to bring all this stuff up? The lorry driver shortage is in the UK, which is the root cause of the post-Brexit disruption, has been a godsend for EU companies. But while an industry tries desperately to fix an unsolvable problem that Brexit created, Bojo and his clowns aren't so much playing a violin. They're more like conducting the London Philharmonic Orchestra. But Stephen does point out the plus side and he has a point. He has a point. The demand for construction workers is now close to a 20-year high, according to the ONS, with employment in the construction sector falling by 200,000 from 2017 to the end of 2020, and it's fallen even further since then. This represents a 4% fall in UK-born workers and a 42% fall in EU workers. Okay, now we're talking about 200,000 plus probably another 50,000. That's 250,000 have disappeared. Now, which according to our numpty friends is a good thing because wages will rise. And he's 100% right. He is 100% correct on this. Wages will rise, have risen, and they'll rise rapidly, as the ONS report reveals. Okay, but at no time have I ever witnessed in the history of any economics I've ever studied that when production costs rise, sales prices fall. I have, on the other hand, witnessed that when costs go up, they're swiftly followed by price increases. It is an absolute fact that if demand outstrips supply, prices go up. And all it is pans out and manifests itself in that little pesky figure called inflation. The one that every man and his dog accepts in the UK will be closer to 4%, and that now includes the Bank of England, who are now so politically motivated it's hard to believe them, because they said in April that the expected inflation figure will be around 2.5%, when everybody else around them said, they said 2%, and everybody else around them said, are you crazy? Are you nuts? But those inflationary figures of 4% that they were talking about, they're honest right now, not next month, next year. And you see that in the wholesale price index. That's the key, not the retail price. The wholesalers are paying the prices now. The economy will recover, of that there is no doubt. But the problem, Mr. Stephen Glover, is that we have not yet felt the real impact of Brexit. This is only the precursor. This is only a warm-up. If the government actually does something that it said it's going to do and implements the border checks in October, this is going to get a whole lot worse before it gets better. And here's why. EU haulage companies are not keen on carrying goods on the return trips back to the EU from the UK, because they get stopped at EU customs checks, and it's a pain in the ass for them. So if the UK implements the plan that they will stop vehicles coming in, which at the moment they're not, it's open season, those drivers are either going to need compensation in the form of increased rates, or they will not do it. But there is a solution. There is a solution, but the costs are not small. What is going to happen is that road haulage will become a thing for fresh goods only. All other goods will be sent by containers with a kind of a taxi service of HGVs, especially on the UK side, as the EU side has a far superior rail service network to get the goods out. So not too bad for everybody. But hold on to your horses for a minute. This will absolutely destroy UK manufacturing. You see, there is a reason why companies adopt a just-in-time production policy. It's cheaper. In fact, it's a hell of a lot cheaper and requires substantially less working capital, as manufacturers can drastically reduce raw material stock levels, warehousing levels, staffing costs, and make more profit. Okay? It depends entirely on a fast and accurate logistics system. So I'm sure that some numpty Brexiteer politician, maybe, for example, Andrew Bridgen, will come out with some, oh, that's easy, we can solve that, no problem. Just get a fast tracking policy of certain goods to solve the problem. Oh yeah, no problem. This at face value sounds plausible. And all the Brexiteer numpties will be going, hey, you see, make Britain great again. Of course, he's also the guy who spoke about Irish passports, English passports, votes, and blah, 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 all of that crap. However, such a policy is against WTO rules. You cannot have fast tracking for specific commodity codes made in the EU and not apply that to the same commodity code coming from outside the EU. You're not allowed to do that. Let me leave you with this, guys. The ONS latest survey showed the rising impact of the lorry driver shortage on the haulage sector. Okay? We showed the transportation and the storage industry has seen nearly 1/5 of firms, 18%, have paused or either stopped trading in mid-August. 18% have stopped trading or paused since in mid-August. Brexit just keeps on giving. Take care, guys, and I'll see you on the flip side. You all take care now.